So my full name's Kassandra. I grew up here in Houston, Texas, and I went to high school at George Ranch. So my favorite thing is I really enjoy being not too far from Houston. First Colony Mall is one of my favorite things. Like if I'm just bored on a random weekend, I'll just be like, let me take the 5-minute drive to go to First Colony, and I'll just go around there with all my friends, and I think that was probably the best part. So all my extracurriculars, most were through the school, some weren't. I am a Golden Girl Girl Scout, and that's of course outside of George Ranch, but I was a track athlete. I did discus, and I wasn't that too good at shot put, but I tried it. Well, I was a setter for the volleyball team, and I've been playing both of those sports for about 10 years now. I was in FFA. I wasn't very active, which I'm kind of upset that I wasn't, because I wasn't able to raise animals. But I was also in Save Our Strays. It's a club that George Ranch does where we go out to different rescues, and they actually had a program where you could Fort Bend County Animal Rescue. They sent us to George R. Brown, the convention center, and they sent all their animals with us. And it was a huge adoption event where they almost got all their dogs out of their shelter. So in about 2010, we got our first dog, Radar. We actually bought him, and the rest of our dogs were rescues, and we started fostering in about 2013. We got a little Italian Greyhound named Gray, who came from a very bad background. He was kept outside his whole life, and they didn't really feed him. And my mom was like, we'll take him in. And at that moment, I was like, I want to help these animals. I want to do all of this for them. And we eventually got him adopted out, and then they gave us another one, which he became our foster fail. He was my dog for like years and years and years. And then in 2018, we got a call from a Great Dane rescue. And we've only had small dogs before this. Well, when I was younger, my parents had a retired racing greyhound, but they were like, no, we don't need any more big dogs. But she was like, a lady called us and said, we need to get rid of our Dane. She keeps breaking out of the house, and they had to pull her from the pound at least 6 times. And they said, we're gonna have to take her to get her put down if we don't give her away. So my family drove halfway to San Antonio, and we picked her up. She just hopped right in, and she's been with us ever since. Yes, my second foster fail, Enio, he had congestive heart failure, and he was also very, very skinny. We had very malnourished. So was our Great Dane, actually. So we worked on getting her back up to that. And I also work at Camp Bow Wow, which is like a daycare facility, and we also bring in rescued dogs, and we kind of adopt them out to staff, or we try and promote them. But I know I've always wanted to take one in, but a couple of our staff have taken them in, and they're bringing them back, and it's just amazing to see how well they've done once they're like in a good home that cares for them. So Mississippi State wasn't actually my first choice. I got into Mississippi State first, but then A&M got back to their acceptance letter, and I was like, I'm gonna go there. And for the past like 10 years, I'm like, A&M's my home, I have to go there. And I went and toured with my mom one more time before I finally accepted, and I realized that it wasn't the best place for me, and that it wasn't where I wanted to spend the next 8 years. So my old track coach, he actually played football at Mississippi State, and he was like, they have a pretty good vet program, just go ahead and check it out if you're not looking at A&M anymore. I was like, all right, perfect. So I went out with my dad for Admitted Students Day in April, and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, I can definitely see myself staying here for the next 8 years. Whenever I first started, through my high school, George Ranch, they had a program called the CVA program, where I would spend 300 hours at a clinic working under a veterinarian, and about 200 hours in the classroom just doing all the basic stuff like learning how to get a temperature. But getting that hands-on experience was pretty much like the most important part. All my coworkers were amazing. They were so helpful, and just seeing all of people come in, they're like, oh, my dog's sick, and then we're able to fix them so easily. Of course, there's a couple that you're like, there's a lot, you have to do x-rays, but seeing dogs come back in just for their checkup after they were sick is amazing. Of course, it's always button heads. So we actually shared a room until we were up to like 8. And then we had a little Jack and Jill bathroom, so we always weren't far from each other. When actually, I want to say about a year after we stopped like being in the same room, because we had little twin beds, of course, And he would come into my room and we'd just spend the night because we were just like, we don't know what to do. Like, how would you not live with somebody? That's also what I'm struggling with now. Like, I've been with him for past 18 years, and now I actually had to come to terms with the first birthday that we've ever had will be on January 31st, December. And I think that because I sat him down, I was like, Alex, we're not gonna be able to do this anymore. Like, this is the last time. And we both started we teared up. So whenever I came back yesterday, he literally practically sprinted through the airport terminal. Everyone was looking. It was like a little, you know how whenever you come home, like, oh my goodness, so happy to see you. I threw my bag down and we gave a big hug. And I think he's very upset that I'm leaving. And since I'm not coming home until Christmas again, he's very upset about that. So I kind of went in blind. Whenever I chose Mississippi State, nobody I knew went there. But I was able to meet my roommate Hannah through a recruiter. She lives up in Tyler. And we met together at a coffee shop, I want to say about 2 months before we got sent off, and I haven't seen her since. But we both moved in the same day together, and she's been amazing. We're both really helping each other kind of migrate through things, and she's also a pre-vet, so that's going to help her for studying. My father used to work with Miss Angela Vasquez, and she posted it on her Facebook, and my mom was like, oh my goodness, you should apply for this. It's $5,000. Like, all right, of course I will. And every single scholarship I've seen, I'm like, I'll apply. I'm just trying to get everything for me. Everything happens for a reason. If something doesn't happen, then there was probably a reason why it didn't happen. So I see success as even from learning from your failures. Like, because you have to fail in order to be successful. There's no one person just going to keep climbing and not fall once. Whenever I first started working at Lighthouse Veterinary Clinic, I was like, I don't know how to work with this. I'm not very good at working with new situations sometimes, but I was able to integrate easily. And that's a small success in my book. That was like, I'm able to get to know everyone well. And then I first started getting temperatures, getting histories. I feel like every little milestone that's helped me get to my goal is a success, no matter how small. I honestly could never believe that I actually would get this much money. I've applied for smaller ones. They're like around 500, and I've gotten a couple of those, but this is a lot of money, and I didn't know, like, my essay, I was like, maybe it's not as good, but I'm very excited to be given this opportunity. I would say be yourself. Don't try and make a different essay just based on what sounds good. I wrote about animals, I wrote about my love for them. To write a good essay about wanting what success is for you, you need to do something that really resonates with you and not trying to be someone trying to impress somebody. I would like to thank everybody that allowed me to come here, that got me to this point in my life, and I would like to thank y'all for just giving me this opportunity.